She thought she got away clean. She did not. My name is Josh Reed. I own a small apartment in Manhattan. I moved out so I could live with my mother and take care of her every day. She is 87. I set up her pills, cook her soup, and drive her to the doctor. The rent from my Manhattan place was our plan. It was how I would pay the bills and keep our heads above water. If you have ever been left with a mess and a lie, hit subscribe, like this video so others find it. Drop your story in the comments. Stay with me to the end. The last 10 seconds hit hard. The tenant looked good on paper, middle-aged, from Queensland, Australia. Calm voice, good job. Solid savings. She said she had owned her home for 30 years, so she had no landlord references. She handed me letters of reference. They were clean and kind. She stood in my living room, looked me in the eye, and promised she would take care of the place. She paid the first month and the deposit. I gave her the keys. I went home to my mother and slept a little easier. For 7 months she paid on time. She sent little notes. The morning light is so good. Your microwave is fast. Found a bridge club. It all felt normal. Then month 8 came. No rent. I sent a text. No answer. I called. No answer. I slid a letter under the door. Nothing. I sent a certified notice. Nothing. Day 14, I filed in housing court. The court posted the notice on the door. The marshal gave the date. On that date, she did not show. She did not call. She did not pay. The judge ruled in my favor. The marshal set a time to carry out the eviction. I met him in the hallway with my stomach in a tight knot. He knocked, called out, and opened the door. The smell hit first. Old food, wet towels, sour air. The sofa had brown stains like someone had spilled coffee and never cleaned it. The bathroom smelled like a gym bag. The kitchen sink had plates with a thin film. The microwave door was bent so it would not close. Trash bags sat open like tired mouths. I felt anger in my teeth and a heavy tiredness in my chest at the same time. I took video. I said the date out loud. I took still photos. The eviction notice on the door. The bent microwave. The stained sofa. The sink. The floor. No loud words from me. Just proof. Then I called a cleaner. Paid the rush fee. I hauled the sofa out with a friend. I ordered a new microwave for delivery. By night the place smelled like bleach. I went home and held my mother's hand while she fell asleep in her chair. I filed in small claims for damages beyond the deposit. The court set dates. She skipped those too. A neighbor told me he saw a late-night van and suitcases. She ghosted me and flew back to Australia. On paper, I had 2 judgments. Unpaid rent and damages. The total was over $20,000, but a judgment is a piece of paper if the person runs away. I called a firm that handles cross-border work. The lawyer explained it slow. I would need to hire counsel in Australia. I would need to domesticate the judgment. It would be long and very expensive. It could take years. It might not pay back. She had counted on that. She thought the ocean was a shield. I sat at the kitchen table and watched my mother sleep. The light from the TV flickered on her face. I felt a cold push behind my ribs. I was not only a landlord. I was a son. I had to be smart with time and money. But I could not let her do this to the next person. I could not let her laugh in a bar and tell her friends how she beat a small landlord in New York. She had a very unique name. You could spot it from across a room. Not like Smith, not like Johnson. A rare bird of a name. So I made a plan. I did not shout. I did not threaten. I bought her domain name. I am not going to use her real name here. I do not want trouble with a real person. Let's say her name is Serafina Kestrel. That is a random, unique name I picked for this story. It is not her real name. Let's also say the school is not real. In real life, she listed a university on her application. In this story, let's call it Marlin Coast University. That name is made up too. I bought SerafinaKestrel.com. It cost less than dinner. I set up a plain site. White page. Black text. No jokes, no insults, only facts. I wrote my name and the city. I wrote that the tenant paid 7 months and then stopped. I wrote the housing court case number. I wrote that the marshal posted the notice and did the eviction. I wrote the small claims case number for damages. I scanned both judgments with the court stamps and posted them. I blacked out my private details. I left her name because it is part of public record. I posted photos of the apartment after she left. The bent microwave door, the stained sofa, the sink, the bathroom floor, the notice on the door. I wrote short captions under each. Eviction notice, microwave damage, small claims judgment, clean, calm, proof. I added a short line about her work because she had included that in her application. She was not only employed, she was a PhD professor. Let's say she taught at Marlin Coast University in Queensland. She also played bridge at a local club. She had sent me a photo of that table in month 4. I wrote that detail so people who knew her would feel the page was real. I did not use slurs. I did not add rumors. I wrote like a report to a judge. I set a contact form at the bottom. I wrote, public court records and tenant move-out photos, posted so future landlords and employers can make informed choices. Then I worked on search. Simple tools. H1 with her full name, title with her name and the word judgment, meta description with city, court, eviction. Alt text on each image with her name and the document. A clean URL. I verified the site. I submitted the map. I waited. The first week, a trickle. The second week, more. The third week, a spike from a company domain. It was the same university domain she had listed. Someone at her work typed her name into Google, clicked the top result, and sat on my site. They clicked the eviction notice. They clicked the small claims judgment. They looked at the photos. They looked at the case numbers. 10 minutes later, another visit from the same domain. Then a third. You could feel the room on their side go quiet, even from my kitchen table. That would have been enough for some people. For me, there was more to do. She had given me letters of reference when she applied. One was from a former supervisor at a lab. One was from a volunteer coordinator. One was from a friend at a bridge club. I wrote to each of them. I sent the case numbers and 2 photos. I wrote, you wrote on her behalf. She stopped paying rent. She skipped court. The marshal carried out the eviction. I won unpaid rent and damages. I am not asking you to attack her. I want you to know how your letter was used. I do not want this to happen to the next person. The volunteer coordinator wrote back in shock. He said he would not write for her again. The former supervisor wrote one line, I am sorry. The bridge friend did not reply. The site kept climbing. It reached the top when you searched the unique name. Above old book reviews. Above a years-old conference flyer. It stayed. I paid the small fees each year. I added one update yearly to note the judgments were still unpaid. Then came the twist I did not expect. She was not only a PhD professor. She was a face on a school page. Students looked her up, staff looked her up, HR looked her up. One afternoon I got a message from someone who worked at a conference in Brisbane. He said she had given a talk on data ethics. He used those words, data ethics. He had searched her name for the program and found my site. He wrote, I thought you should know where she is now. I checked the stats after that. Visits from a different domain showed up. It was the school domain for Marlin Coast University. One session stayed on the eviction notice for 5 minutes. Another session opened the small claims judgment and zoomed in on the court stamp. Another session clicked the kitchen photo and then the bridge club line. I did not know what was said in their office. I could guess the tone. I will tell you about the classroom. A student reached out to me through the form. He wrote, I had her for a seminar. She tells us, always do right by the data. Then I saw your page. Is it real? I replied with the case numbers and the link to the public court portal. I told him I am not there to tell him what to do. I told him to check the records. He wrote back, "Thank you." That was it. I did not want to turn a class into a fight. I wanted the truth to be easy to find. 1 week later, I got a different kind of email. The subject line said, "Legal notice." The body was short and sharp. It said my page was defamatory and causing reputational harm. It demanded I take it down. It did not come from a law firm. It came from a personal address, no case number. No signature block. It used a different spelling for a word we both knew. I wrote back one sentence. The page contains public court records and photographs of my property taken on the date of a lawfully executed eviction, and I attached links to the court portal. I added, "If you are represented by counsel, please have your attorney contact me with a case number." I never heard back. Time passed. My mother and I found a simple rhythm. Morning tea, pills, a slow walk to the porch. I learned how to set up her shows with big captions. I learned that she loves the old movies where the hero never raises his voice. She would pat my hand and say, "Keep your name clean." That line sat inside me like a small fire that never goes out. I refreshed the site less often. When I did, I saw new patterns. A spike of visits when she changed jobs. A quiet month. Then a surge during hiring season. One day, a cluster of visits from the HR subdomain at Marlin Coast University. They stayed. They clicked. They went to the public court portal. I imagined a table, a folder, and a few people who had no stake in my story except to learn the truth before they made a choice. There were small scenes that added color. A landlord group in Sydney emailed me to say they had added my page to their internal checklist for applications with that rare name. A bridge player wrote, "We used to see her on Tuesdays, not anymore." A student sent a one-line message, "We had a lecture on ethics today." That was all. That was enough. I want you to know where I drew my own lines. I did not post a home address. I did not post family names. I did not tell people to harass her. I did not send the link to her school. I did not spam anyone. I did not buy ads. I did not lie. I kept to facts, court records, dates, and my own photos. I kept my voice low and my receipts high. One night, after my mother went to bed, I thought about what the word professor means. It means someone who stands in front of young people and says, "Here is how to carry weight without breaking." I thought about data ethics. I looked at the eviction notice again. I looked at the small claims judgment again. I looked at the bent microwave door again. The truth does not raise its voice. It stands in the doorway and waits for you to look up. A few months later, I took the train to the city to check on my apartment. The new tenant, a nurse, keeps it like a page from a catalog. Coasters under every glass. A plant that somehow always looks watered. She pays on time. She texts me when a light flickers. I thanked her when I left, and felt the old knot in my chest had stayed gone. On the platform, my phone buzzed. A message from a hiring coordinator at a different school in Queensland, not our made-up one, but we will call it Coral Ridge College to keep this story clean. The coordinator thanked me for making public records easy to locate. She did not say more. She did not ask for anything. She did not tell me what they did. But she looked. That was the point. Sometimes the site brought quiet pushback. A stranger wrote, "People can change." I agree, people can change. I am not stopping anyone from changing. I am not blocking a future. I am posting a past. If she pays, if she writes, if she makes it right, I can add an update. Until then, the page stands. There was one day I will not forget. A student group at Marlin Coast University planned a small symposium. Trust and Truth in Research. The program page listed her name as a panelist. That morning, the live stats on my site went wild. Dozens of visits from the school domain. Someone linked my page in a chat, I think. The symposium went on. I did not watch. I took my mother for a drive by the water. She fell asleep. I listened to the soft sound of the engine and thought about doors. If you shut a door on the truth, It will try every other door until it walks in calm and uninvited. Let me tell you about the call with the Australian law firm that I did not hire. I wanted to make sure I was not missing a simple option. The partner was kind. He explained the time, the cost, the forms, the odds. He said something I keep hearing in my head. You can spend a lot to win a little, or you can spend a little to warn a lot. I chose the second one. It fit my life. It fit my mother's needs. It fit my sense of fairness. A year and a half in, I got an email from a man who said he went on a date with a woman with that rare name. He said he liked her at dinner. He said he searched her name before date 2. He found my page. He asked me, is this really her? I said, check the birth year and the city, and I sent the court links. He wrote back, thanks. That was the last I heard. I am not trying to ruin dates. I am trying to make sure people know what I learned the hard way. One evening, a message came from a department admin at Marlin Coast University. The words were careful. We are conducting a routine review and would like to confirm that your site is yours. I replied with my name, my city, the case numbers, the public links. I did not attach more. They did not ask for more. The next day, the stats quieted. A week later, I checked the school page for the PhD professor with the rare name. The page was gone. Maybe it moved. Maybe it was deleted. Maybe nothing changed but the link. I do not know. I do not need to know. The point was never to control her life. The point was to set the truth where people could see it. I kept the site up and the words plain. I added one short update under the judgments each year. Still unpaid as of year. That was it. No big banners, no victory laps, just timestamps. You may wonder how this felt for my mother. She watched me print the judgments and put them in a folder labeled proof. She watched me tape a note inside my desk that says, light beats noise. She asked me once, do you hate her? I said, no, I don't hate. I remember. My mother nodded and said, keep your name clean. That was enough. I met a young landlord at the hardware store while buying new smoke detectors. He told me his tenant had walked out. He said he was going to explode. I told him, write it down, stay calm, take photos, file in court, keep your voice low and your proof high. He asked me how I slept. I said better, since I learned to pick light over noise. There is a scene I keep for the end, because it still makes my heart beat slow and steady. Picture a small interview room at a school across the world. 2 people sit with a laptop. They have a list of names. One of the names is rare. Someone says, let's do a quick search. They type the name. The first result is my plain white page. They click. They see the eviction notice. They see the small claims judgment. They see the photos. They see that calm line about a son caring for his mother while a tenant ran. No one shouts. No one waves a finger. The room gets quiet. A pen stops tapping. A box stays unpacked. Somewhere, I make tea for my mother, and we watch an old movie where no one needs to scream to be heard. I am not done telling you the small parts that built the big thing. One day I stood by the copy machine at the courthouse to make certified copies. An older clerk said, "You're smart to keep it neat." I asked her what she meant. She said, "Judges like neat." That line is funny and deep at once. Neat is not about pretty. Neat is about respect. Respect for the room, the record, and yourself. I went home and made the site neater. Shorter lines, clearer captions, better scans. Another day I found an old email from her in the first month. "Love the view," it said. I stared at the screen and felt a strange mix of sad and calm. People are good until they choose not to be. After that, you need a system that does not care about charm. Public records do not care about charm. 3 years in, I still own the domain. The site still ranks at the top when you search that rare name. It still gets steady visits, a few each week, with small surges during hiring season. I still get messages now and then. Saw her at a conference. Got an application with this name. Is this real? My answer never changes. Here are the case numbers. Here are the public links. Decide for yourself. If you take one thing from me, take this. You do not need to raise your voice to protect your life. You need proof. You need calm words. You need a place where the truth can stand and wait for people to come see it. Keep your receipts. Keep your language simple. Put the facts where people look first. Then let time do the rest. The day after I checked the school page and saw her profile vanish, I took my mother to the park. The sun was soft. A few kids fed pieces of bread to birds and then squealed when the birds came too close. My mother held my arm and walked slow. She told me the names of trees she learned as a girl. We sat on a bench and split a small bag of almonds. She looked at me and said, "You look lighter." I said, "I am." She nodded like that answer was enough. 2 nights later, I got an email through the site. It was from a student at Marlin Coast University. He wrote that he had a group project with her class. He said he liked her lectures because she spoke with calm and used simple words. He also said he felt a twist in his stomach when he saw the site. "Can both things be true?" he asked me. I told him yes. People can be good in one room and still do harm in another. That is why we use records. Records help us remember when feelings get confused. He wrote back, "I needed that." That week, I also got my first message from a landlord in Brisbane. He wrote short and angry. He said she had left a place he managed with a carpet stain the size of a small lake. He said she walked out on a final month. He said the agency fees ate most of the deposit. He asked if I would send him all my documents. I said no. I told him I do not share personal files. I told him the case numbers are public. I told him to log his own proof and keep his own voice calm. He wrote back, "Fair." He added, "Thanks for the idea." Months passed. I did not think about the site every day. I had a life to live. My mother and I learned a set of small routines that turned into a kind of quiet joy. I would wake first, make tea, and listen to the house. You can hear a house breathe if you sit and wait. I would check the mailbox, and then I would check on her. She would say, "Good morning," like she had been saving the words all night. I would say morning, like the words were a blanket I could lay across her shoulders. We would move through the day one small square at a time. On some nights, when she fell asleep, I would open the laptop and look at the site. Steady visits. A few from the school domain. A few from search. A few from places I did not know. One morning, I found a letter on the mat. It was not from her. It was from a firm that often sends scary letters with big words for small problems. The letter said my site was interfering with employment. It said I should cease and desist. It cited statutes like charms. It did not include a case number. It did not include a court order. It asked me to remove all defamatory content. It did not list a single line it thought was false. I read it twice. My hands did not shake. I boiled water for tea and put the letter on the table and drew 3 lines on a sticky note. Court case numbers, eviction notice, move-out photos. I wrote under each line, true, public, mine. I called a legal aid clinic that has office hours for small business and property owners. A calm person there said, "Keep your records. Say nothing else. If a court wants to talk, answer the court. Letters are not the law." I put the letter in a folder called Letters. I did not reply. A week later, the site got a wave of traffic from a domain that looked like a PR shop. They clicked everything. They checked the robots file. They checked the XML map. They scrolled to the bottom. I watched the little map light up and then go dark. I imagined a person at a desk going down a checklist, trying to find a lever to pull. There was none. The page was boring and true. Boring and true is a wall with no handles. Around this time, the new nurse tenant texted me a photo of the living room, sun on the floor, plant on the sill, mug on a coaster. She wrote, "This place feels safe." I stared at that sentence for a long time. That is all I wanted. A place that felt safe for someone who showed up and paid and kept things clean. A place that felt safe for me when I used the rent to keep my mother's life gentle. Then came the conference story. A person in Brisbane sent me a message late on a Friday. He wrote that there was a research ethics panel at a hotel near the river. He said the panel had a PhD from Marlin Coast University on it. He said her name aloud to himself and then decided to look it up. He found my site and clicked the court links. He wrote, "I showed it to my boss. We decided not to invite her back for the next panel. I did not cheer when I read that. I did not write good. I wrote, do what your policy says. Thank you for checking sources." The site kept its place. It sat at the top of the search results like a lamp. I spent a few quiet evenings making it even cleaner. I added plain text under each image with the date. I added a small note that said, "Names in this video are fictional to protect privacy. Case numbers are real and public." I clarified that the domain name I own in this story uses a fictional name. In real life, the name was real. In this story, it is not. I wanted to stay careful. I wanted the lesson to travel, not the person. I got a message from a student who said the school had planned a small seminar called Trust and Truth in Research. The day of the seminar, a big group chat lit up among students because someone had posted my page and asked, "Is this our professor?" Screenshots flew. People asked if the records were real. A few said the site was fake. A few posted the public court links and said, "No, it is real." The seminar was still on. The students walked to the room. They sat down. A department chair spoke first and said something about context. Then the professor did not walk in. Another staff member did. The seminar shifted to a general talk. Some students left. Some stayed. That night, my site saw more visits in 1 hour than it had in a month. I closed the tab and made my mother tea. 1 month later, I received an email. It was short and came from a new address. "If I pay some of it, will you take the site down?" There was no name, but the tone was a voice I knew. I wrote back, "If you pay all of the judgments and the court confirms, I will add an update at the top that says, 'Judgments fully paid as of date.' I will leave the records up with the update. If you want to propose a schedule with dates and amounts, send it through your lawyer with case numbers in the subject." A day passed, then a reply. "That's not fair." I wrote back, "The site shows court facts. It will also show payment facts. That is fair." I never heard again. I do not say that to be cruel. I say it because I have a mother to feed and a life to hold together. The site is not a knife. It is a light. If you turn a light off because someone asks, you will be in the dark again the next time they set a trap on the floor. With the school profile gone and the seminar storm behind them, I thought the story would go quiet. It did for a while. Then the site got a burst of traffic from a different school domain. It was called Reefside Polytechnic. A hiring season pattern. Search. Click. Eviction notice. Judgment. Photos. Court portal. Back to the search engine. That pattern is human. It means someone in a real room with real stakes made a real choice after seeing hard facts. I got another legal email. This one claimed I was using her trademarked name in bad faith. It warned of a domain dispute. It had cut-and-paste language from a template. I spoke to a small business clinic again. They explained something simple. A name by itself is not a trademark, unless you use it as one and register it. I was using a domain to host documentation about public court records and move out photos. That is a lawful use. They said, keep copies of everything. If a real complaint comes to your registrar, respond with your documents. I set a filter that put future scary letters into the letters folder so they would not steal my attention from my mother. I did more than watch. I joined a small landlord group in the city. We met once a month in a church basement with bad coffee and a metal urn. People talked about leaks and noise and late pay. I told my story in simple lines. I did not brag. I did not name a school. I said the words that matter. Keep records. Use the court. Use light. A woman in the back asked how to build a site. I wrote her a 1-page checklist. Title. Meta description. Case numbers. Photos. Alt text. Court links. Nothing fancy. She wrote me later to say she had put up her own page and that it had already saved a neighbor from renting to the same person who had hurt her. Some nights I would read my mother a few lines from a book, and she would fall asleep mid-sentence with the sound of my voice in the room. On those nights, if I had any energy left, I would open the site and add something small that made it better for strangers. A sentence that said, "I am not asking you to do anything. I am making it easy to see what happened." A note that said, "If you are the person named in the record and you want to talk about payment, ask your attorney to write with the case number." Little signs on a quiet road. So, then came the email that made me stop and put my hand on the table. It said, I used to date her. The sender wrote that he met a woman on a hiking app. She was smart. She liked birds and tea. On the second date, she said she never lies. He believed her. On the third date, he searched her name because he had been burned before. He found my site. He wrote, "You saved me years." I do not know what he decided. I do not know if he sent her a link. I only know that the site made a stranger step with open eyes. The school year moved on. My mother had a small health scare, and we spent an evening in the ER. She held my hand and asked me to talk about anything but the machine sounds. I told her about the deli guy who saved the greenest apple for her. I told her about the neighbor who fixed his fence. I did not talk about the site. The site is the opposite of an ER. It does not beep. It does not flash. It stays, quiet and bright. One more scene with students. A graduate wrote me and said, "We had her on our dissertation committee. I saw your page when I looked up her email again. It changed how I felt." I told him, "Be careful with feelings. Use the records. Build your own. Protect your name." He wrote, "I will." The second year, I got a small freelance job to help a local nonprofit with their data for a week. I used the money to hire a web developer for 2 hours to make the site faster and easier to read on phones. He looked at the code and said, "You kept it simple. That is good." He added lazy loading to the images and made the text more readable. He said, "This will rank forever because you are not trying to trick the web. You are just feeding it clean truth." I smiled at the phrase, clean truth. She tried one more trick. I could see it from the logs. A bunch of new sites popped up with her name in the domain, filled with fluff and stock photos. They were obviously built to bury the site. But fluff is air. Air rises and then vanishes. Her clones never lasted long. The one thing that stays at the top is a page with real documents that answer real questions for real people who have to make real decisions. You cannot beat that with clip art. A new tenant applied for my apartment in year 3. She wrote a long letter about herself that felt honest. She said she takes off her shoes at the door and likes quiet mornings. She had great references. She had a calm voice. When we met, she asked me a question that surprised me. She asked if I felt safe being a landlord after what happened. I told her yes. I told her safety is not about luck. It is about habits. Pull, check, log, file. Keep voice low, keep proof high. She smiled and said, "That sounds like nursing." I said, "It is." I also took one more step with the site that made me feel even steadier. I added a line at the top that said, "If the judgments are paid in full, I will add a notice here and include the date." That line turned the site from a wall into a door. The door stays closed until someone uses the right key. The key is not a sorry email. The key is proof of payment. I got one last angry message from a personal email that claimed to be her and called me names I had not heard since high school. I did not reply. If a person uses insults instead of case numbers, they are not ready for the door. Halfway through the third year, a podcast producer reached out. He wanted me on a show about small landlords, bad tenants, and the law. I said no, I do not want to be a face in a drama. I want to be a page in a search result. He understood. He asked if he could read a line from my site on air. I said he could read the court case numbers and the note about caring for my mother. He said, "That part hit me." I said, "Me too." I started to get messages from other parts of the world. A landlord in Toronto. a manager in Dublin, a cousin in Perth, all different stories. Same theme. Someone thought they could walk away, and the ocean would keep the truth from catching up. It does not. The internet is the new ocean. You can cross it with a packet. You can light it with a line of plain text. You can lose yourself in it too if you shout at every ship. That is why you keep your voice low. You asked for more drama. There's the day a student group put up posters on campus that said, "Check names, believe records." The posters were down by dusk. The message will stay longer than paper. There's the day a dean held a closed meeting and said, "We will review hiring checks." The school changed nothing in public. But small rooms make large changes when the doors are shut. There is also the winter day I got a small envelope with 4 $20 bills and no note. It was postmarked Queensland. I did not cash those bills. I put them in the folder with the judgments. You cannot make a 4-figure loss right with 80 quiet dollars and no name. But the envelope told me something. Somewhere, a person felt the weight of the page and wanted to make it lighter without lifting it. That is not how weight works. Another time, a man wrote to me from an address that looked like his own name, not a burner. He said he was her brother. He said she was going through a lot. He asked me to take the page down for family honor. I told him that family honor starts with paying what you owe. I told him the door is open when the court confirms payment. He did not write again. I hope he told her the same thing. At the end of year 3, the nurse tenant renewed. She says the windows make her feel sane. I changed the HVAC filters and fixed a sticky cabinet. In the hallway, an old neighbor asked me how my mother was. I said she sleeps a lot, but her laugh still shows up for small jokes. I made a joke about cats in hats. He laughed because the hallway needed a laugh. Back home, my mother asked me to read to her from a book of small essays. I picked one about a carpenter who puts his tools away every night in the same order, so he can find his peace in the morning. When I finished, she said, "That is you with your papers." I said, "Yes." She said, "Keep your name clean." I said, "I am trying." The site sits where it sits. It is not a hammer. It is not a billboard. It is a shelf of labeled jars. If you need sugar, you can find the sugar. If you need salt, you can find the salt. If you need proof, you can find the proof. If you are the person who owes me money, you can find the door. It is right there at the top of the page. It says, "Paid in full, we will say it. Until then, we will say the rest." Let me tell you a few more small, human-sized things. A student sent a photo of a lecture slide with the words, "Ethics is doing the right thing when no one is looking." He wrote, "I took this in her class last year." I wrote back, "Keep that slide. It will matter when someone is looking." Another sent a screenshot of a staff page where her name used to be. A gray blank sat where a face had been. The caption said, "This profile is undergoing updates." That is life. We are all undergoing updates. Some updates are slow. Some are sudden. Some are a mirror. A lawyer from a tenant advocacy group wrote one day and said, "Be careful not to cross into harassment." I wrote back, "Thank you." That is why the page is plain, uses public records, and uses no threats. He said, "Good." He added, "Most people shout. You did not." I took that as a strange blessing. A New York reporter emailed asking to write a piece on DIY justice. I said I would talk, but I would not name a person or a school, and I would not pose for a photo. He wrote a piece that used a fake name and a blurred screenshot. He quoted the line my mother says, "Keep your name clean." He ended the piece with that. I clipped it and put it in the proof folder because it belongs there more than in a scrapbook. Here is a last loop of drama. One morning I woke to a flood of messages. The site had been flagged by a bot for privacy concerns after a mass report. I filed an appeal with my host and attached the court numbers and copies of the judgments. I explained again that the content is factual and based on public records. The host restored the page within the day and wrote, "Thank you for the documentation." The mass report tried to use noise. Documentation is light. Light wins. Now I want to bring you back to the apartment, to the door, to the day I first read the word eviction in black ink. If you want to know why I am calm today, it is because I stood in that hallway and saw the truth printed on paper by someone who did not know my mother, did not know my life, did not know how tired I would be by night. That person did their job. I took that same energy and I did mine. I put the truth where strangers can see it before they make their own choices. That is a job too. If you are listening and you are in a fight like this, take a breath, take photos, file in court, write in plain words, save copies. Buy a small domain if you need to, but only if you can fill it with proof. Keep the heat out of your sentences and keep the dates in. If someone sends you a scary letter with no case number, put it in a folder and go make tea. If someone offers you $80 in an envelope when they owe thousands, put the bills by the judgment and wait for the real key. Do not let your mind be pulled into noise. Light beats noise. If stories like this help you, hit subscribe, like the video so people who need a calm plan can find it. Tell me in the comments about the time you chose light over noise. If you are in the middle of it right now, borrow my line. I keep my name clean. I keep my proof neat. I keep the light on. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe and join Taste of Revenge family, and share your impressions of the story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on one of the boxes on the right. Thank you for watching to the end.